Going, Gone, Epidemiology of Illicit Drugs and Their Chemistry by Gavin Welch. So first let's start off by asking, what are some things that drugs affect? Drugs affect all aspects of our personal and social lives, including your financials, your family, your relationships, your education and or job, and mental health, more importantly. What are some common illicit drugs found in drug epidemiology? Some common drugs found would include cocaine, marijuana, methamphetamine, and MDMA, also known as Molly or ecstasy. And these substances can be seen on the right. What is drug epidemiology? Well, first we have to determine what epidemiology is, and that is the study of distribution and determinants of disease in human populations. And this is defined by epidemiology of substance abuse. And drug epidemiology takes epidemiology and combines it with the studies of drug abuse. Drug epidemiology often looks for patterns of drug abuse within societies and the correlation between addiction and outside factors. And an example of this would be the high rates of heroin use in Akron, in the more poor areas of Akron, Ohio. On the far right, you'll see a skeleton. This man was named Otzi. His body was found in 1991 in the Alps, and it dates back to 3300 BC. And on his body was found a pouch on his right side that was full of polyplor antibacterial fungi, which had antibacterial properties, which this is believed to be the first drug of all time. And because drugs have been around since the beginning of time, you have to take in consideration how drug abuse moved from spiritual and religious use to recreational use over time. Substances commonly referenced in drug epidemiology include cannabis. It is derived from the cannabis sativa L plant, and it's the most used illicit drug worldwide. As you can see on the figure, it demonstrates where marijuana use is the most popular, obviously on the west and east coast. And cannabis binds to the dopamine and serotonin receptors in the brain, creating a relaxing, sometimes anxiety-filled high, similar to a muscle relaxer. Another substance is cocaine, and cocaine has an interesting action. It blocks the reabsorption of dopamine in the brain and floods the brain with dopamine. This is unseen of in any other drugs because cocaine binds specifically to the needed receptors in the brain. And it is also known as one of the most addictive substances known to mankind due to its ability to block out reabsorption of dopamine. Heroin is a crude and similar transcript of the drug diamorphine. Diamorphine is a narcotic typically used to treat severe pain. Heroin's action is that it binds to the pain receptors in the brain, specifically the pain receptors, and creates an overall numbing feeling throughout the body. Chemistry and their organic structures found. So on the far left in the marijuana molecule, you'll see a lipid group, a phenol with an OH attached, an ester, which is the carbon bonded to the oxygen bonded to the carbon, and then a benzene ring found within the phenol. In the middle, we have a heroin molecule, which has two identical ethers and an ester in between, and an amine on the far right side, the carbon bonded to the nitrogen. And in the top right, the cocaine molecule, you'll be able to see two esters, a benzene ring, and carbons bonded together throughout. And their molecular formulas and weights are included. So in drug epidemiology, a sociologist studies the culture and society within, and would ask, how do drugs and their use affect the way people act? They draw conclusions based off the patterns of drug abuse, and they would look out for correlations between abuse and population, and then work within their environment to make a change. And a neurologist would study the drug's effects on the brain, how it affects how we think, affects the growth of the brain over time, and the short-term and long-term lasting effects. They might also look at how the spinal cord, nervous system, and internal structures are affected as well. And finally, the societal impacts of drug epidemiology, and a couple positive impacts that drug epidemiology has had includes rehab programs such as AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, or Narcotics Anonymous, and it promotes action within communities to clean up and educate people about drugs. But also some of the negative effects that drug epidemiology has is it influences stereotypes and negging of people, and it sets societal standards that not all people in a society can meet based on where they're at. Any questions?